We want to welcome you to today's after-school professional development incentive and school age credential training and Q&A. We're really glad that you are here. Today we're going to do some training and kind of go over the revised tool, and also we're going to give you some time at the end for a Q&A where you can ask questions. We do ask that you hold on to your questions until we get to the end. We do have a place where you can also record your questions at the end, as well as put in future questions that you might have, like after the training, and you think about all the things that settle in. There's a place for you to do that, and we will post that also up on the website when we're done here. So thank you again for being here. I'm Anna Sanders. I'm the Professional Learning Systems Director here at UAN. And Brenna, I'll let you introduce yourself, and then we have Lauren tech hosting for us, so thank you.
Yes, hi everyone. My name is Brenna, and I am on the professional learning team with Anna. I'm the Professional Learning Systems Coordinator.
Thanks, Brenna. Lauren?
And I'm Lauren. I am just here to monitor the chat and answer any questions there that you might have. So feel free to drop your questions in the chat. Like Anna said, we'll have plenty of time in this session to get to them after they're done presenting their piece at the beginning.
Thanks, Brenna. Thanks, Lauren. All right, everybody, I am going to go ahead and share my screen, and we'll go ahead and get started. Okay, thumbs up. Everybody can see my screen. We're good? Yay, good, good. Okay, so there is a QR code on this slide. This slide is just going to take you to, excuse me, the QR code will just take you to the website. We do encourage you to make sure you have the website up, because all the forms that we're going to be talking about are there, and you're going to want to access them. You're going to want to download them to your computer, save them to your drive, so you can open all the things that we're going to talk about today. And also, when you apply, that's where you're going to go as well. So I'll give you guys just a second to save that QR code or go to the Utah After School Network pages, the incentive page and the credential page. Alrighty, let's go to the next page. So we wanted to kind of just introduce the why change. Like, why did we spend the last 4 to 5 years kind of redesigning the incentive for you and the credential? There was a need to align with the Utah Career Ladder system. It's the same pool of incentive money that comes from the Career Ladder that supports our after school incentive. So there was a need to make that alignment like common language up front, so everybody was kind of like on the same page and on the same pathway with the incentives that are for after school professionals and folks in the childcare world. We felt like there was a need to align our training with our national affiliate, the National After School Alliance, and the core competencies that we have. And we wanted to address barriers that we have seen in the school age credential. We have some goals and intentions that we also wanted to focus on. We wanted to kind of focus on the big picture for everybody, that we really want to professionalize the field and encourage folks to increase their education and their training specific to after school, and also professional and personal growth. So today, what we're going to go over, folks, is we're going to go over a little bit of the NAA core knowledge, skills, and competency, and the alignment that is embedded throughout the incentive, and as well as the school age credential. We're going to talk about all the changes, and there are some changes that you're going to want to be aware of, and we're so glad that you're here talking about them with us now so you can prepare to be able to submit successfully either the school age credential or the after school PDI. So those changes include level changes, a financial award. The trainings are significantly different. Professional activities are completely new. And also there is a new required demonstrated competency for level 6 incentive applicants. We want to talk about the school age credential and its revisions as well. It has a new element for folks. It has a portfolio. Again, the same list of approved trainings crosses between the incentive and the school age credential. And we'll talk more about those things and the pathway that we have between the two throughout the training. If you're not familiar with the NAA core knowledge, skills, and competencies, we encourage you to do so because you're going to want to make sure that you're familiar and that you understand these competencies. These competencies are widely known in the field and based on research. We are aligning with 9 out of the 10 content areas. We have, you can see them here. They're the child, youth, growth, development. We have a learning environment and curriculum, child, youth, observation and assessment, relationship and interactions with children and youth, youth engagement, voice and choice, family, school and community relations, safety and wellness, program planning and development, and professional development leadership. Okay, so let's dive in. This is the exciting part. These are the changes that we're going to talk about. So for the after school incentive, we have condensed the levels down from 8 to 6 levels, 6 being the top level. The same thing remains, just like in level 8, you can repeat that level if you meet the requirements each year once you get to the level 6. There is an alignment throughout the incentive with these competencies. And it's throughout, we'll talk a little bit more about it, but it's completely throughout the professional activities, the training. And we're going to dive into that a little bit more. You're still required 30 hours for every level of the incentive, but 20 of those hours in the past would be in section 1, right? And then 10 could be in section 2 or section 1. Well, section 1 is still in the incentive, but now those trainings are aligned with the competencies that we're talking about. And we've also approved a list of several hundred trainings for you that are aligned and approved to go in that section 1. So there's plenty of options for you to get your 20 hours for the incentive. And we will talk a little bit more again about the demonstrated competency. The demonstrated competency is required in a level 6. We'll talk about that more in just a second. Let's move to the next. So again, those 20 hours are required in section 1, and we'll show you an example of where you can find those on the form, the verification form that you're familiar for. And those those vetted list of virtual trainings are already aligned for you. So you don't have to, like in the past, you'd have to try to figure out where the alignment was. We've already done that hard work for you. And there's a selections of free trainings and there's selection of paid trainings in that list for you. So it should be really easy to choose one that works best with your needs and what you feel like you would like to work on. If you find a training that's not on this list, we do have a process for you to get it approved. There is an application that you need to complete and let us review it. It can take 6 weeks up to review. So we don't recommend that you do all of your 20 hours for the incentive on approved trainings. You know, we provided this list for you. We'd like you to use it because it can delay the process for you and the approval process if you are going outside of the approved training list that we have. but we do have a process for you because we do understand that there are other great trainings out there that you're having and doing, and we want to be able to reward you and recognize those trainings. So there is a process for you to go through that. So this is the professional activities tab for the on the verification form. So if you'll see, like right here, I'm not sure if you can see my little circle thing over here where the arrows are. The professional activities have been completely revised. So you need to review them. The other great thing about these is they're already aligned also with the CKSCs. So the alignment is there for you. Now here's a beauty of it too, and Bronna's going to go into it a little bit more. These professional activities are also aligned with the school age credential portfolio. So you have a pathway to the portfolio and you have a pathway to the credential with the trainings. So it works both ways. The other new thing to keep in mind is all of the professional activities are now worth 10 units, where in the past you might have one that was 2, one that might be 4, 10, 5, they're all worth 10 points. And here's the other nice thing too, is every level requires 20 units. In the past, depending on your level, your professional activities would increase. So like a level 8 in the past would have 80 units. Everybody at every level has 20 units that's required, which is kind of nice and consistent. And also if you say, if you're starting at level 1 and you do 2 professional activities worth the 20, you know, by the time you get to level 6, you're going to have a great selection that prepares you for the next steps of the demonstrated competency if you choose to do the school age credential. This is also the training tab on the verification form, and you can see where the arrow is. This is section 1, and you can see there are similar things that we've had in the past, like conferences still count. Your certificates, like your food handlers, your first aid, those still count for you as a training in your section 1, like they've always been in the past. What is new is where this arrow is. So this is the approved training list that we have already sorted out for you. We've vetted and aligned with the competencies. So you can click on there and map out your trainings in section 1. And then again, you can do 30 hours in section 1 or split it between the section 1 and section 2, depending on what works for you. I wanted to talk just a minute about the trainings. So the Utah after school events and trainings that we do are already going to be aligned for you. If you have been to Jumpstart in the last few years, we've already started this process for you. So there's a sticker that is provided for you after like a Jumpstart session. And if you look on that, it already has the alignment sticker. The alignment is named on the sticker for you. And then you put that on your certificate. And so those trainings will count for the incentive. But you want to make sure that you get the sticker on there so it's accounted for and that you already have the alignment there for you. So if you're coming to Jumpstart, we're so excited to see you, or Recharge. Just make sure you're getting your stickers. Ask the room host for those. They will have them. So all other conferences that are in section 1 that are listed are going to be falling under the CKSC, Professional Development and Leadership. So you still can get credits for those, but we don't expect you to piece out every hour. It's just going to all, if you have 10 hours at a conference and it's on this list, it's going to automatically fall into number 10, that professional development. I think I've got everything there. Everything else has stayed the same. Your trainings must be completed within 12 months of your application date. So keep that in mind as you apply, and always we're here to answer questions for you. And we have a pathway for you to do that. Either email us or the QR code that you'll see at the end. All right. This last thing that I wanted to talk about before we turn it over to the school age credential is an increase, which we're really excited to announce to you that the levels also have an increase, all of the levels from past financial awards. So your level 1 is going to be 200. Yeah, level 1 is 200, level 2 is 300, and then you go all the way down to level 6 now is the top tier financial award amount at 1,000. So we're really excited to announce that for you. One thing about these levels that I wanted folks to just remember, that 6 is 6 years and above. Again, you can repeat it. If you've been in the field 8 years, you're still going to be at level 6. If you've been in the field 10 years, you're still going to be at level 6, but you just have to make sure that you meet the eligible requirements for level 6, which does have that demonstrated competency, which is either going to be a school age credential, it's going to be an associate's degree, bachelor's degree, or higher, and you need to provide the documentation for all of those when you get to a level 6 to pass off your demonstrated competency, which is the same language and the same kind of familiar pathway that is part of the career ladder. All right, I know that was a lot. I'm going to let it set in for a second, and I'm going to turn the time over to Brenna, and she's going to talk about the school age credential and all the great things about that. And then again, we'll give some time for you to ask your questions. Brenna?
Excellent. So the credential process, as Anna mentioned, is now part of one of the options you can use for the demonstrated competency for the incentive if you are a level 6. And that has gone through an entirely new just revamp. Two things that are the same is you are still required to have 120 hours of training in the last 5 years, and you are also still required to have 480 hours of experience with school age youth. The big changes come with our new portfolio that we are introducing, and I will go over that a little bit more. An observation that you will need to do internally, and we have updated that observation tool from what has been used in the past for our credentialing process. Over on the side, you can see a QR code that will take you directly to the credential page, where all of those documents and more details can also be found after this presentation. Some important things to know, the credential does remain open year-round, so you can apply whenever you would like, as long as you are meeting the requirements. The biggest thing is if you are using it for your demonstrated competency for the level 6 incentive, that has due dates. For that, you will need to submit your portfolio by the second week in or second Friday in March each year, and then your credential, all of the pieces, so your observation and training and all of that, will need to be submitted by the after school incentive deadline in order for that to be counted towards your level 6. So just kind of keep that in mind. Again, if you are wanting to apply and you are a level 2, so you're not necessarily using it for your level 6 demonstrated competency, you can apply for it as soon as you meet the requirements and just have that associated with you. The credential also renews after the 3rd year. You will be responsible for doing another internal observation and submitting the required training hours, which is 60 hours aligned with the 9 CKSCs, which again, if you are doing it in conjunction with your incentive, you do already have a pathway to be meeting that even for your renewal. For the portfolio, it has several different components that will be put together. As we said, they are aligning with 9 out of the 10 core knowledge, skills, and competencies from NAA. You will also need to do a professional philosophy and authenticity statement. We actually already have the authenticity statement in the portfolio, so you just have to sign saying that everything that you are submitting is your own work and your own thoughts and your own ideas, and then put that with your philosophy statement and the rest of the components of the portfolio. For the portfolio, you will be required to do 16 different work examples. And the way this is broken up is all 9 of the CKSCs, or the core or content, knowledge, skills, and competency areas, all of them will have one required writing element that you will submit, and then most of the others will have about 3 options that you'll be able to choose from in addition to that required element. So that comes out to a total of 16 required work examples that you will be submitting. And again, as Anna said, those are part of the incentive professional activities. So again, creating that pathway for you. For the observation, the way that we're going to be doing this now is you will actually be doing this with your supervisor. So whenever you would like to apply for the credential, it is up to you to reach out to your supervisor and have them complete our conflict of interest form. And after that, then someone from our team will contact them with the next steps and provide them with the observation form. We have created 2 new observation tools specifically for the credential, and they are based on whether you are working with elementary or secondary students. We do have a full training guide that you can see through our little QR code here. And once your supervisor has completed their observation, they will simply email it to us, which again, more instructions are also on the website. If you are using the credential for your incentive, and again, remember, you can apply any time of year if you're not using it for the incentive, but if you are using it for the incentive for your demonstrated competency, this is our recommended timeline for you, just because it can take a lot. We generally recommend about a 4 to 6 month lead time for you, and a lot of that can just be doing your portfolio samples if you are new to doing that, or you don't have all of the samples that we now have in the portfolio already completed. So by December, we would suggest that you reach out to your supervisor and start kind of working on your observation process. We know that that can take some time because your supervisor is busy, you are busy, and so that needs to be an exchange that you work out with your supervisor of when that can happen. So definitely by December, if you haven't already, I would begin that conversation with your supervisor. In January and February, this is a great time to start working on those work samples. Make sure that you've got all your required training hours. Just as in the past, you are required to upload your certificates from your training hours to the URPD profile. That is still required. We will still be checking. So don't forget to do that. That can also take a good amount of time. So fit that into your schedule as well. By March, you do need to finalize and submit your portfolio by that second Friday in March. And again, that'll change depending on the year, but second Friday is going to be generally the date that we have for March. And then, of course, everything else, your observation, your training hours, all of that must be submitted by the incentive deadline in April. And that is what we have for you guys. We would love to turn the time now over to you for any questions that you guys might have specifically about the incentive or credential changes and how to find or get more information.
I have a question. So can we use like a associate's degree in lieu of that credential? Is that what's
Yes.
going on? Okay. And if we're graduating in May, does that not count?
It would not. You would
Okay.
need to have had it for the year that you're applying. So it would apply for your next year.
Perfect. Okay, thank you.
So question, if you already have a bachelor's or a master's, does that count then
Yes.
for in lieu of the portfolio, in lieu of all of those different things?
It will count for your incentive level 6 requirement if you have an associate's, bachelor's, master's, or doctorate.
So what is then the requirement for, do you still need an observation? Do you still need all of those things?
You will not. So then you will complete the level 6, basically as the same general requirement. You will still need to do the incentive things of having 30 hours of training, 20 in section 1 at least, and still need to do at least 2 of the professional development activities that are on the incentive form. So basically you would just complete the incentive like you already do, and just make sure that we receive documentation of your degree that you're using as your demonstrated competency.
So just a copy of the transcripts? Is that what you need?
Just like you can do a copy of your, oh, I realize my screen's blurred. You can do a copy of your actual degree, and place that in there. And there is a spot for level 6 applicants on the incentive form where you can either upload your portfolio or your documentation of your degree.
Okay, like your cactus or? Never
Just
mind.
like a copy of what your degree is.
Like your diploma, like a diploma or
Yeah, your diploma.
your
Got
diploma
it.
or your transcript. I think either would work.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
And does that degree need to be in child development or something related?
No.
So I can get my general degree in December or my child development degree in May. If I were to get my general degree in December, could I use that?
Follow-up question for you. Are you talking your CDA?
No, my actual associate's degree.
Associates in any field, any emphasis will work. The
Okay.
same with any degree above associate's degree, the same requirements.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hi, Liz here from YWCA. So you have so for level 6, because I've been working here for like 7 years, but I do have a degree. But you can't just have a degree if you only have 1 year, because that would still just be level 1, right?
Correctly. So if you're applying as a level 1 applicant, then
Okay,
all of the demonstrated competencies, they mean nothing. You just fill
sure.
out the incentive for level 1.
Okay, cool.
So let me follow up, Liz, just to clarify for maybe folks that haven't applied before. Your levels are determined by your years of experience working with school age children and youth. So, and a school year for us, that first year is like considered 8 months. So if you have 8 months in the field, you're going to, by the time the application date is required, then you are level 1. But like if you've been in the field 5 years, and you're going to be level 5, 6 years and above, you're going to be level 6. And so the demonstrated competency is only required for a level 6. And just to recap, to make sure everybody understands, there is a pathway and alignment from that incentive to the school age credential. The professional activities that are in the incentive are the same elements that are in the portfolio.
Mhm.
So those 16 elements that Brandon had mentioned for the portfolio, if in year 6, technically, if you've been doing it for the incentive for 6 years, you're going to have 12 out of the 16 already ready to go. So that's why we encourage everybody to also make sure that you balance out your professional activities. And one thing that I think we failed to mention too is that you cannot repeat your professional activities until 6 years. Like you go through 6 years and then it's like, oh, hey, I want to do this same professional activity. You've got to wait 6 years, which is different than what we've had before, because before the professional activities, you could have a new experience every year, right? Based on what it was. Well, this is more something that is applicable to like what we want to see from you right now, if that makes sense. Yeah. So, and also one of the things to keep in mind too about the professional activities and the training, you have, like for the credential, you have those 120 hours of training required, but you have a certain amount of training in each competency that is required. So you can't like say, I just want to do everything that's observation and assessment because that's my favorite thing. Because we know that's everybody's favorite thing, right? So, but you can't do all 120 hours in there. You need to do the required amount in each area, if that makes sense.
We had a question in the chat for if you have a degree, can you apply for multiple levels at the same time? Or do you have to apply for just level 6? So if you have a degree, but you've only been in the field for 2 years, the degree at that point doesn't matter. You will still just be applying for a level 2 because, as Anna explained, your levels are based on your years in the field. So you will be a level 2 and you will be applying for that level following those guidelines. Once you reach level 6, that's when having a degree or the credential will be a requirement in order for you to get the level 6 incentive. And then another question in the chat was, does daycare school age qualify? So your place of work does have to be a, Anna, help me with the list. It's licensed, exempt, and I forget some of the other levels.
Yeah. And so there also, if you're on that website too, there's a frequent asked question tab in there, and there's talks about more eligibility. But to apply for the after school incentive, you need to be working in a licensed child care center, licensed after school center, or licensed exempt. And there's a list, there's a few more in there that's in the list that kind of breaks it down to the same terminology that the Office of Child Care uses that's on the eligibility list. But unfortunately, if you are not in a licensed or license exempt center, the incentive is not eligible for you. You're not eligible for it. Feel free to pop your questions in the chat.
I do have a question. If you have, I guess, worked in the field out of state, how does that count towards this incentive?
So currently, right now, you have to be working in the state of Utah to get the incentive, because the incentive is the same pool of funds out of the Office of Child Care Utah career ladder. So they're the ones that are actually empowered us to provide this financial incentive to after school professionals and caregivers in the state of Utah. So you do have to be in the state of Utah, working in the state of Utah.
Okay, and a follow-up question, and this is towards the degree. How far back does the degree will you take? Like to 2013 or 2000, 1996?
That's a great question.
Yeah, it's like at this time we do not have a limit on how far back it goes.
Just only for training.
Okay. All right. Awesome. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that.
You're welcome. One other thing that I want to make sure that we mention under the professional activities for your incentive, there is in the verification form a place for you to file drop your professional activity. Like we may ask you to write 300 words about a certain topic, or explain what we asked you to do with a survey, or whatever the professional activity is. We need to actually see that document. In the past, you've been required to do 3 sentences, full sentences, and if it's not fully answered, we might go back and forth with you. That is also going to stop. We need to see your document completely filled, and if it doesn't meet the requirements, it doesn't meet the requirements. We're not going to send it back to you and do a whole lot of revisions with you. So make sure that you're asking the questions that you need to on those professional activities once you have a chance to review them. And we've given you a way to do that for the future. I'm going to share my screen. So you should be able to see the slide that is like a parking lot question. We'll put this also up on the website so you can ask future questions, and we will respond to you via email. We'll also put them up on our frequent asked questions list as they come, because I know this is a lot of information and you're probably going to need some time to kind of digest and think about your questions, look look through the forms. So please make sure that you save this. And again, we'll put it up on the website for you with the recording when we're done with today's editing. Any last questions for our Q&A section here? Right, I'm checking the chat. I'm not seeing any other questions. Feel free to use the chat if you'd like to communicate that way. We're happy to answer.
The Salt Lake Regional Network, they do meetings, right? Where would those hours fall into? Because I got like a certificate of participation. Is that count?
Are you talking about like the SLARN meetings?
Yeah.
So that's a really good question. So typically, we have seen applicants before where they want to put in like a meeting, like an agenda meeting where you're going over things. Meetings in the aspect of like, hey, this is organizational information, right? This is procedure. Those do not count in the incentive because they're agendas, right? But if within this meeting, say you've had 4-H come in and they have provided you a training on their curriculum or their activities or their STEM activities, that counts because it's actual training. It's not just an agenda meeting. So it would depend on if there was a specific training in the meeting, depending on what it was. But if it's just a general organizational, like staff meeting, those do not count for the incentive. Good question, Liz. Thank you. One other thing to maybe keep in your back pocket is both Brenda and I will be hosting a session at Jumpstart to dive deeper into the core competencies so you understand those, the incentive, and the school age credential. So you'll have another opportunity also to see us face-to-face at Jumpstart and dive in a little deeper to your questions and also understanding all the things about the incentive and the credential and the NAA core knowledge, skills, and competencies. So we'd love to see you there. That's going to be on Saturday at 2:45.
Sorry, I have one more question.
Sure.
I'm looking at the website and it says, as part of the credentialing process, all applicants must receive observation. That's just for if you are level 6 without a degree, right?
Correct.
Okay, so anyone else doesn't need to worry about the observation.
No, for the incentive, no, only if you're
Okay.
completing the school age credential as your demonstrated competency.
Okay,
We'll double check
perfect.
that language on the website to make sure it's clear, but
Okay.
the observation is part of the school age credential. So the observation is required for the school age
Perfect.
credential.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
There's a question in the chat. So does this session count as training? It does not. This is simply a Q&A session for people talking about the different changes, just to give a general update. This would not meet any of the CKSE training requirements.
I see another question in the chat, which I'm really excited about. So what does the observation entail? So I love this because I was hoping we could have some questions. So the observation has a couple of steps, as Brenda had mentioned. The very first thing that you want to do is contact your supervisor and request an observation. Tell them that you need to use the UAN tool for the school age credential and have them complete the intent to complete and not the intent to complete, the disclosure statement. So your supervisor fills that out. Once they fill that out, we'll put them on our list and using basically that, oh, we have an intent to complete here, and we will email you out the observation to you and your supervisor to complete. There is two, depending on two observations. You choose the one that works best for either the teen, if you're working with teens, or if you're working with like elementary children. And then your supervisor schedules a time with you. There is also a tips and tricks list also on the website about the training for the observation. I'm like, oh, what do I do? So it's all there for you on that form. But basically what's going to happen after that is your supervisor does the observation, sends it in to us, and you'll ahead of time see everything that's going to be on the observation. It's not like a big surprise. Then once that's done, you turn it in, and there is a way for your supervisor to grade it, and that's also on the observation tool, and also the frequent asked questions and training guide for the observations, which are on the website. Hey, everybody, I think unless we have any other questions, we'll give you back 20 minutes of your day. And again, request that if anything comes up, feel free to ask us. You can email us at professionallearning@utahafterschool.org, as well as put your questions in this Google form. Thank you so much for being here. We appreciate your time, and we're excited about these new tools as they help professionalize our field. So thank you for your support. Bye, everybody.